Hey, Bulls and Bears, how we doing? We are back with another dose of economic reality. Yes, and we need to inject a lot of reality into what we're seeing right now. We got a lot of good information to get into today. Let's talk about bank earnings. There's some headlines out there how the big banks' earnings are looking great. The banks are strong. They're fantastic. What's the term that they want us to call the banks? The banks are sound and resilient, as we're being told. Well, here's the thing. Let me just give you this headline here. This is a recent headline. Big banks kick off earnings seasons with a bang. First quarter results from the nation's largest lenders demonstrate why they are better positioned than smaller rivals to withstand recent challenges. So they're making it sound like these mega banks are much better positioned than the smaller regional and local banks and credit unions. Well, think about this. Silicon Valley Bank, before the failure, if you look at their quarterly results for profits, they showed strong profits. They actually missed, but they did show profits, right? So an insolvent bank can still look strong when you just look at profits. People look at profits and they say, oh, the bank's profitable. They must be very sound and resilient. But of course, look what happened to Silicon Valley Bank. But let's just go into one of the previous results for Silicon Valley Bank before they failed here. Let's go to fourth quarter results, fourth quarter 2022, just months before the failure. Fourth quarter 2022 earnings, SVB. Earnings per share, $4.62. Quarterly net revenues, tax equivalent, were $1.54 billion, up 1.9% year over year. So at that time, those looked pretty good. I mean, they missed the consensus as what people had expected or expectations, but they were still up year over year. In other words, people weren't alarmed by that reporting there in the fourth quarter 2022, again, just months before the failure. So just because banks are reporting profits doesn't mean that they're sound and resilient. It doesn't mean that they're solvent. In fact, if you look at the debt and obligations here, and what's on their books, the loans on their books, these banks are insolvent. If you look at the system of lending that we have within these banks, the banks are insolvent. They no longer have the money that they took in for reserves. There's no reserves required now. So this is a huge mess. It's yet to be resolved, and we haven't seen anything yet. I think we're going to see a lot more bank failures. Could they print enough money to keep this whole thing going for a while? Absolutely. Could we wake up next week and the whole thing could be melted down because they decided not to prop it up, or because someone actually decided to come in with some regulations and actually make things fair? Absolutely, that could happen as well. Now that's why you need to protect yourself. So let's get a quick word in here from our sponsor. You need to protect your assets, protect your wealth against this fake money system here. We've got some news to report on the other side, but first take a listen to our sponsor here. Noble Gold Investments have made it their mission to stay on top of the most important economic news. 3 bank runs in the last month. These are the second largest and the third largest bank runs in history. The government is taking steps to guarantee all deposits. That means more money printing. Plus, the Fed is sitting on unrealized losses of $1.2 trillion on their $8.3 trillion bond portfolio. And the Fed could continue to raise interest rates until they crash the economy. Do you know who are the only ones that are not afraid? The ones who are invested in gold with Noble Gold Investments. Gold is the most stable asset outside of any government control. Thousands have approached Noble Gold Investments to get their hands on gold. Hurry and go to bullboomgold.com to secure your wealth now. Bag a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin with each gold or silver IRA if you qualify. Go to bullboomgold.com. That's bullboomgold.com. The link is also in the description of this video. Now, speaking of protecting your wealth, people often ask me, JJ, we know the news is bad. We know the economy is falling apart. This entire banking sector is likely to collapse at some point, but what can we do? You're not telling us anything we can do. If you haven't heard, if you don't understand what you can do right now, you haven't been watching or listening to this channel. Protect your assets, protect your wealth with hard assets. I've already allocated a portion of my retirement into hard assets. And we just heard from our sponsor there a few minutes ago. Also, a couple reports ago, I had an interview with Bob Kudla. There's opportunities out there to still make money in these markets, in the stocks and investing in other things. We talked about that in that interview. Just go look, 2 days ago, interview with Bob Kudla. A lot of good news in there. Even if you don't do exactly the programs that he mentioned, there's still good information in there. Simply just watching the video gave me a lot of good ideas, and I think a lot of viewers shared the same opinion on that. All right, but let's get into some other news here today that's very important.
Also, one other very important thing to talk about when it comes to the big banks is how banks are hiding their losses, and they're doing that with accounting gimmicks or bookkeeping tricks, so to speak. Even an article right here out of Fortune talks about this here. Recent article just came out today. I'll put it right up here. Bank bosses are hiding $600 billion in unrealized losses to keep their mega bonuses. Here's why portfolio secrets should be marked to market. So mark to market means that their book of loans is listed as valued based on what you could sell it for, right? So a lot of these loans, mortgages, etc., were given out when rates were ultra low, rock bottom, right, near zero. And now these same loans that are basically bundled into securities have lost value because the rates are so much higher now. An investor would be crazy to buy these based on what kind of return they're going to get on these now, right? So what they're doing is they're listing these loans or these securitized loans as being valued at what they were back when they were given out at rock bottom interest rates. Rates are higher now, so obviously the loans are not worth as much on the market. But they're hiding it, right? It's an accounting gimmick, right? So that's what these banks do. And of course, we saw the big bonuses handed out by SVB before the failure. And the question is, are these people at these banks going to keep their big bonuses that they get, even though they fail?
How does this affect you and I? How could this affect you and I? Well, think about this. If the regulations change on these banks where these types of accounting tricks or shenanigans are no longer allowed, or these bookkeeping tricks, if they're no longer allowed, then these banks are done. They're gone. So that's how it could affect you if these banks are ever held to account, reality as far as what these securities are worth and how far underwater they are. Also, just a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the derivatives debt exposure at some of these big banks. Some of these big banks' derivative debt exposure exceeds that of the U.S. national debt, meaning more than 30-something trillion dollars at some of these banks. Just go look at that report we did a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We talked about all the numbers there. And these derivative exposures run in the trillions, 30, 40, 50 trillion at some of them. It's outrageous. And, in reality, if you looked at using real money, let's say the currency was still backed by hard assets, gold, silver, or both, these banks would not even be in existence right now because that's how far insolvent they are. So how can you fight back? Well, accumulate hard assets. My number one thing still is silver. And every time you buy an ounce of silver, you basically fight back against this manipulation, against this trickery, as many would call it, accounting gimmicks, right? Like we talked about just a few minutes ago. Every time you buy a piece of physical silver, see, the physical price is only as low as it is because they're manipulating the digital price, so the price that you see on the screen when you look it up. But pretty soon, the physical price is going to be so far detached from the digital price, they're not going to be able to hide it anymore, right? Once you see the physical price double of what the price shown on the screen shows, I think it's going to be a big wake-up call and the shenanigans come to an end. So yes, you can fight back by accumulating hard assets and silver. On that topic, let's take a look at the silver price today. We know that gold and silver has seen some big demand here ever since the bank failures started happening here recently. We see oil up close to $83 a barrel now. We told you that was going to happen. Gold, $2,017 today. Silver, $25.47. It actually touched above $26 just here in the last few days. So definitely we're seeing some movement even in the digital manipulated price. So that should tell you something. The 10-year bond is 3.52% today. So they're still trying to keep mortgage rates suppressed to keep this illusion alive that the economy is strong. If the economy was so strong, why not just let mortgage rates rise even faster? Why not raise interest rates even faster? Why are we seeing these tiny little rate hikes if the economy is really that strong, right? So I think most of you see right through this. You're not fooled, but just wanted to put this out there because bank earnings are in the news today. You're not fooled, right? I'm not fooled. We're not fooled. So together we're going to get through this. Thanks for watching. We're going to wrap this one up here. Before we are done, though, I want to give a few quick shout outs to supporters of this channel. Now, first of all, every one of you here watching right now are supporting the channel just for being here. If you like, that helps even more. If you like and subscribe, that helps even more. But these people gave me even bigger support. The super thanks button down there. Thank you to the following people. And of course, some of these are screen names, right? So Pax OR32, thank you very much. Sassy, thank you for the super thanks. That's huge. DJ Jojo, back again, DJ. Thank you very much. David Amati, thank you again. I've seen you down there before, David. Thanks again. Maria Rivero, back again. Thank you very much. I'm blessed to have you all here. Every one of you, thank you very much for being here. Keep stacking, fighting back against this manipulation, scam of an economy and these prices or valuations that we're seeing out there. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. Big love. Keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.